Appeals court is now siding with a lower court ruling to disqualify President Trump's pick for New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba.
This one looks like it's on the Senate, not Bondi. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Alina Habba has just been disqualified as the top New Jersey prosecutor. Yes, Alina Habba officially disqualified as the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. So I think the question here is, it's very simple. Is this another case of corrupt judges overstepping their authority? Or is this yet another case of pure incompetence from none other than do-nothing Pam Bondi?
Appeals court is now siding with a lower court ruling to disqualify President Trump's pick for New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. So there is a 3-judge panel, and it ruled that the Trump administration used an illegal method to nominate Habba as the top prosecutor in the state. The judges wrote in their opinion that Trump administration's argument would effectively permit anyone to fill the U.S. attorney role indefinitely. And on this case could see further appeal before a full panel of Third Circuit judges, or it could head to the Supreme Court, and we'll keep you posted on what happens.
Okay, wait, hold on. Another illegal appointment? Didn't we just go through this? Why am I getting deja vu right now? Oh, yeah, that's right. James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James were just let off the hook because a judge ruled that President Trump's appointment of U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, who came in from Virginia, was invalid. And now here we are again. Another appointment, another judge, another technicality. What is actually happening here? I'm going to get into the details and figure out what we're actually dealing with. So it looks like this decision was made by a panel of 3 appellate judges with the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. They upheld a lower court's finding that the administration violated the law when it used a series of maneuvers to install Habba in the position after failing to win Senate support. And this is what they said, quote, under the government's delegation theory, Habba may avoid the gauntlet of presidential appointment and Senate confirmation and serve as the de facto U.S. attorney indefinitely. This view is so broad that it bypasses the constitutional appointment and Senate confirmation process entirely. Now, this might sound bad at first, but the reason why Pam Bondi did this is simple. U.S. attorney appointments routinely get bogged down in Senate confirmation battles, especially in Democrat-controlled states like New Jersey. So to avoid months of delay, the administration leaned on temporary acting appointments just to keep the system moving. This was the only way to make sure the work in those states didn't come to a screeching halt because of political gridlock. And let's be honest, in these deep blue states, you've got high-level officials working around the clock to slow down anything Donald Trump tries to do. Big decisions, small decisions, doesn't matter. Their goal is always the same: drag it out, stall it, and grind his agenda to a halt. What's really bad, though, is that this decision doesn't just affect one case. It could ripple into other jurisdictions and shut things down even further, and that means even more of Donald Trump's agenda could get slowed, stalled, or completely ground to a halt across the United States. This article says the ruling could impact what happens in several key jurisdictions where the Trump administration doesn't have Senate-confirmed U.S. attorneys, including in the Los Angeles and Las Vegas area. But in the meantime, nobody even knows who is going to lead the U.S. Attorney's office after the court's ruling. But this might not be the end, because the DOJ could appeal the case further by asking the full bench of Third Circuit judges to rehear the argument, or they could go directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. So I'm interested if they're going to perhaps attempt that route. But in short, this is what happened and how Alina Habba was put in this position as U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. So Alina Habba, who was a former personal attorney to President Donald Trump, she was appointed as interim U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey in March of 2025 under the Federal Vacancies Reform Act. And this allows a 120-day temporary term. But this is where it gets really interesting. So check this out. And this is something I did not catch before. I think this is the same thing with what happened to that U.S. attorney that was going after James Comey and Letitia James. Look at this. After her initial term expired without Senate confirmation, blocked in part by New Jersey's Democrat senators via the blue slip tradition, I'm going to get into that in a second because the blue slip tradition is key. This is key why she wasn't confirmed in the first place, but let's continue. Federal judges appointed U.S. Attorney Desiree Lee Grace to replace her, okay? The Trump administration then fired Grace, withdrew Habba's nomination, and reappointed her as first assistant U.S. attorney to automatically elevate her back to acting U.S. attorney. This, quote, novel series of legal and personnel moves was challenged by criminal defendants, leading to a federal district judge's August 2025 ruling disqualifying Habba as unlawful on December 1st, 2025. The Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously upheld this, affirming she lacked authority under the FVRA and related statutes. Okay, now let's get to the important part. Okay, what exactly is this vague blue slip tradition? Well, this is the part that explains everything, including why these Trump-appointed U.S. attorneys are being disqualified in the first place. In fact, it may not be Pam Bondi's fault at all. This may have been the only path the Trump administration and Pam Bondi had to get any U.S. attorney in place, someone who could even begin to hold these people accountable. Because remember, these folks are essentially shielded from consequences simply because they live in deep blue states. And even though U.S. attorneys require Senate confirmation and Republicans technically run the Senate, there's this long-standing practice being honored behind the scenes that's blocking conservative U.S. attorney nominees from ever getting confirmed in these deep blue states. And that practice is the blue slip tradition, and it changes everything. So what exactly is this blue slip tradition? And I promise you guys, this is a key, and this is why these nominations are being confirmed. So the blue slip tradition is an informal practice in the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee that gives home state senators significant influence over federal judicial nominations. And here's how it works. When the president nominates someone, the Judiciary Committee sends a blue-colored form. This is what the blue slip is. They send this to the nominees' two home state senators. And those senators can approve, oppose, or simply not return the slip. And this has significant powers, even though this is an informal practice. This has been historically a tradition to ensure home state senators have a say, and it's supposed to encourage cooperation between the White House and the Senate on nominations. But this has changed over time. So the strength of the tradition depends heavily on who controls the Senate. So some Judiciary Committee chairs treated an unreturned or negative blue slip as a veto, stopping the nominations entirely. Others treated it as merely advisory, allowing the nomination to move forward even without the senator's approval. And if you're still skeptical that this blue slip tradition actually carries weight, check this out. Senator Chuck Grassley himself spelled it out in plain English. He said, a U.S. attorney/district judge nominee without a blue slip does not have the votes to get confirmed on the Senate floor, and they don't have the votes to get out of the committee. As chairman, I set President Trump nominations up for success, not failure. In other words, no blue slip, no confirmation, period. And remember, this blue slip it's not even a law. It's literally just a tradition, but Grassley is choosing to honor it anyways. Absolutely unbelievable. And finally, here is what Alina Habba said about this blue slip tradition when her nomination was struck down. She said, the blue slip tradition prevents a nominee from getting to the point of making that case to the committee and Senate floor. You know who can get rid of it? You, Chuck Grassley. Remember, President Trump nominates individuals that he knows can get the job done. Your job is to work with your committee to advance their nominations. Doing the dirty work of Tom Tillis, Cory Booker, and Andy Kim is not what America voted for. Now, New Jersey is becoming a playground for criminals because of partisan federal judges. This is a time for leadership, not deflection. The American people deserve better. So I went through all of this essentially to say this. While I have major reservations about do nothing Pam Bondi, trust me, I'm not a fan, but I am a fan of the truth. And I wanted to actually dig in and understand why these U.S. attorney appointments were getting slapped down by judges. And it turns out the key issue may not be Pam Bondi at all. It's this blue slip tradition, something I had no idea about. It's a completely optional, non-binding Senate courtesy, something that Chuck Grassley and the rest of the Republican senators could choose to ignore at any moment. It's not a law. It's not required. It's just a tradition. But they're choosing to treat it like it's the Ten Commandments. So whenever the Senate didn't confirm Trump's U.S. attorney picks, what happened is the administration had to get creative and use workarounds to get anybody in place to start the ball rolling, especially in these deep blue states where everything is blocked on site. And of course, like clockwork, judges in these states aren't giving an inch to any of these creative legal approaches. They're rejecting them instantly because they do not want a Trump-aligned U.S. attorney stepping foot in their territory. But look, there are plenty of things I can blame Pam Bondi for. The Epstein files, I still don't understand what's going on there. She's not great on TV. I don't think she comes off as trustworthy. Her position on guns, awful. There's a lot about Pam Bondi that deserves criticism. But people are throwing all the blame at her for these U.S. attorney disqualifications. And honestly, I think in this specific case, it may not be her fault. This one looks like it's on the Senate, not Bondi. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Did you know about this blue slip tradition? Honestly, this is the first time I heard about it. I don't know how I missed this one, but that's pretty wild. Let me know what you think of all this down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.